Okay, so it is June 24th, our last meeting of the seminar year. I don't know about y'all, but it feels like the seminar year in a way went really fast. Like I can't believe we're already starting a new seminar year. Jody's like, "No, it was a long year."
Um,
I don't know, but when I feel like I don't know, in some ways it feels fast. I guess in
and
some
I'm ready for June to be over. Like
yeah,
absolutely ready for June to be over.
yeah, and it will
Yeah, but
be.
Jody, you
It,
killed it. You
yeah,
killed
you've had a
Yeah,
it.
good yeah.
it's there's still a week left and I'm done.
Yeah, you've had a really good month though, so that's exciting. So, yeah. So I'm going to read the words of wisdom, which is about enthusiasm. And it says nobody wakes up every day feeling enthusiastic. Enthusiasm is something we all have to work at to achieve. I found it sometimes helps to fake it till you make it. Look in the mirror and say to the person you see, I am healthy, I am happy, I am enthusiastic, I am terrific. Yeah. That's when we say, we're great. We're just gonna, yeah. I am teaching vacation Bible school this week, the last week of the month, and I have the 4 to 6 year olds.
I
So
can
I
relate.
am saying, I'm great. Oh my goodness.
Girl, vodka. That's the only thing I can say is vodka.
Oh my. Well, it's good. It's good. But I'm going to be really tired by Friday for sure. They just,
Starts tomorrow.
no, it started Monday. So it's
Oh
5 days.
gosh, girl.
Yeah. So I'm there 9 to noon every morning,
I
smiling,
bad.
enthusiastic.
I've got Amy's kids Wednesday and Friday of this week.
Okay. That's like vacation Bible school.
No, but it's kids, four
Yeah,
year
that's
old
what I mean.
twins and 6 and 8.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, we'll say a quick prayer and then we'll get going. Lord, we just thank you. I thank you for all these ladies here. I thank you for the ladies that couldn't even be on tonight, Lord. And we just thank you for our whole unit. We really have a lot of women that are a part of our unit and our team. And we just thank you for the blessing of that and for all, just all the different personalities and all the different strengths and all that you've given us, Lord. We just thank you for that. And Lord, I do continue to lift up Laura's granddaughter. She's doing really well. There's nothing neurologically wrong, which we're so thankful to you for, but she's still not totally okay. And so they still need answers and they want to figure all of that out, Lord. And I just ask that you give them clarity. We thank you that Cindy Venable's granddaughter was born healthy, healthier than they thought. And we just pray that she continues to grow and just be with that family. And Lord, we do lift up Alex, as we know she had the kind of an episode today and had to go to the hospital. And we just pray for just healing over her and that she'll get what she needs and she'll be back with us soon. And Lord, just guide me tonight as I speak on all of this and help us to be helpful to all of us. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so we will do a little reco. So I did get some accomplishment sheets from Jody Campbell and Debbie Culp, which I don't know. Debbie Culp sometimes sends her accomplishment sheet in. She lives in Houston. And so she never gets on meeting, but she'll randomly do her accomplishment sheet. So we got one from her today. And so that's exciting. And Jody had a $634 week, 2 faces, 1 power hour, 1 booking, and she's had great sales this month. When we did the little epic week with the other directors and all their consultants, she was number 3 in number of tickets, and she was number 1 in new agreements because she got a new consultant this month too, which I did want to point out. Part of being a star, because I'm really going to focus more on star for those of you that are really trying to build a business. Part of being a star is that when someone is looking for a consultant, your name gets higher to the top. And so that's part of the reason why Jody got that new consultant. She actually called the company and said, I need someone in this area. And so they pulled people's names up and they told her what they said, and she said, I'm going to go with that Campbell lady. So, so it kind of matters too what you put on your little information. So, do we get a new customer and a new consultant all the time from that? No, but we really can get them. And the thing I have found when someone finds you that way, they're typically more committed to Mary Kay because they're seeking out a consultant. So they've used Mary Kay before. And so, anyway, so that's kind of a plus too about being a star. So Jody's had a great month. So, and really, Dawn, your month is going to end up being really good too. You just don't have it all in, and you've made some successes in some of these areas you've wanted to work in how you reach out to people and communication. So it's a good month.
Yeah, imagine that. I actually worked like 3 hours today. Mary Kay work for 3 hours today.
Yeah,
Go
you were in your
figure.
brilliant zone. So it's all good. So Jody's ready for the end of month to be over. It will be on Monday. So that is our last day to order. And Tuesday, the 1st, is the last day for those that are going to seminar to register. So they can do that on the 1st until midnight. And then I was going to tell y'all, if you are ordering any more this month, you know, it is a little tricky, or if you're helping a consultant, it is a little tricky, the 55% off on the skincare. You know, you can go to the skincare page and you're not going to hit the 55% off thing. So if you're wanting 55% off on, you know, Miracle Set, make sure that you're going to the place where their June promotion is so that you can get your 55% off. I'm kind of concerned that we've had maybe some consultants that don't order frequently that didn't even get that. And because it's just not, I feel like it's not as easy to get to as it should be. So anyway, but just for y'all's knowledge, you know, you go in there really fast and order or whatever, just make sure you're hitting that. I did want to say I have been recording the new consultant trainings, and they're on YouTube now. All of our meetings, once I get the Zoom recording back, I'm putting it on the YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch those. And I'm trying to put in the little verbiage for each one, what did we talk about on that meeting, so that you can decide, oh yeah, I definitely want to watch that or not. But I did find out today that YouTube deleted my new consultant training number 2, which I'm not very happy about. And they told me that I did, you know, that I didn't follow the rules. And I'm like, what did I say that I couldn't have been following the rules? So I'm reading through it. I honestly don't know for sure, but this is what I think it might have been. In the new consultant training second time, I shared my screen of my customers to show them how to add customers, and that listed people's names and phone numbers and addresses. And I'm thinking, I didn't even think of that. And I'm pretty sure that's why they deleted me. And it's so hard to show people how to do that without taking them to that screen. But I think that's what it is. So I'm going to have to re-record that and not do that. So I'm not really excited about that, but it is what it is. And I guess I needed to learn that. That's all I can think of. I wish they were more specific, you know, that says this is exactly what you did wrong, because they don't. They just generally say you didn't follow the rules and here's our rules. And I'm like, okay, I'm reading through the rules. I'm thinking, what did I say that, you know, they would knock me out? But I think that's what it was. I'm thinking, because it looked like that would have been private information that I shouldn't have shared, you know, in a public manner. And I didn't even think of that because it would show some of my customers when I went in there. So I'm sure that's what it was. And so anyway, so I'll have to be careful even on a regular meeting night. If I pull up something like that, I'm going to have to be careful I don't do that so that YouTube doesn't delete me. But so I guess I needed to learn that. So anyway, so what we're talking about tonight is not new for any of us on here, but it was a good reminder for me because we're at the end of the year, you know, seminar year, and we're about to start a new seminar year. And so it is kind of good to think about a good time of year to go, am I doing with my Mary Kay business what I want to be doing or not? And some people may be doing exactly what they want to do and they don't need to tweak anything. And then others may be like, yeah, I do want to do something differently. Or tweak it just a little bit or whatever. So Mary Kay said, a dream is just a wish until you act upon it, and then it becomes a goal. Many times we say, someday. I want to tell you that it will never happen someday. You must plan your work and work your plan, which we know that. That's nothing new, but it's good to be reminded. And Bill Copeland said the trouble with not having a goal is that you spend your life running up and down the field and you never score. So if you don't want to score, I guess you can keep running up and down the field. But if it's important to you to level up in some way, and we do really need to give ourselves time limits on certain things. So like Dawn and I were talking about before we started, like cleaning out things, like she's cleaning out her basement or whatever. And I know Terry went through time where she was cleaning out a lot of things. I'm trying to clean out my daughter's room so it can be my office, but I've been talking about that for a year. So I have been forcing myself to put it on my calendar, blocking time to do it, because I keep saying, well, I'm going to do all these other things and then I'll get to it at the end. Well, it's never going to happen if I don't. So I've had to like block time every week to specifically work on that, regardless of whatever else is going on, because otherwise, it's not going to happen. And then my deadline was to have it all done before the end of the summer, including getting it painted, so that when I start in the fall, because I do so much with Bible study fellowship in the fall, and then I'm pretty busy on Tuesday and Wednesday mornings. So I thought, I need to have it done, because then I just get busy, and then it's Christmas time, and then you're not cleaning out anything when you're Christmas shopping and wrapping and all the stuff. It's just interesting how the years happen. So the same thing happens with your Mary Kay business. If there's something that you want that's different, but anything we talk about tonight could be applied, to any of that. And Alex was supposed to do, by the way, product knowledge, and I do have a little product knowledge, but I thought I'd go through this stuff first, and then if we have time, I'll do the product knowledge. I meant to tell you that. So we know that when you set goals, they really should be written down. Only 3% of people actually write their goals down, and writing it down creates commitment. If it's just kind of in our heads, we don't necessarily get as committed as we should be. So I think it is important that you write it down. And it's also important to have SMART goals, which this is nothing new to us either. They do need to be very specific. And I have been trying really hard this year to measure things more, because when we measure things, then we know if we're actually getting any better. So I think I've shared with Jody some of this, maybe some of you guys too. Hey, Debbie.
Hi.
How are you?
A little better.
Okay, good. Well, we're talking about goals. So hopefully
Talking about what?
Okay. Goals. We're talking about goals, setting
I
goals.
thought you said gold. I'm like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want some.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want gold, you can set a goal. So I started working with these people back in March, where they're helping me as I like track my macros and all my workout plan and all that stuff. And it is so interesting because I have data for like 14 weeks now, like that tells me exactly how many calories I've had, exactly how much protein grams I've had every day. This is a lot of detail. How many ounces of water I drink, how many steps I take. But what you can see when you have data is you can see, and I've lost 10 pounds. Now, have I lost that very fast? No, but my goal is to lose it forever. And I've PR'd twice. I'm so excited on my mile cycle and my 600-meter row. And so that's because I'm tracking it. I would probably just think, oh, I haven't made very much progress. That's probably what I would think. But when I look at the information and I look at all the data, and they're making me take pictures, what do we tell people to do all the time when they're trying new product? Take a picture before and take a picture after. It's amazing the difference. It's amazing the difference just tracking all of the information. So does this take a lot of commitment and work? Yes, but it's important to me. This is important to me to meet this health goal. So if I can transfer that over to what do I need to track in Mary Kay to help me see where I am, because I think sometimes we're all doing better than we think we're doing. We're just not tracking anything, so we don't really know. Oh, you did? You were overeating and you did not know you were. I know. Because the thing is, y'all, I was eating healthy before. But now I'm actually tracking what I'm eating. And so, I'm not just throwing in all the beans on in there I want or all the, like I've even weighed some things. But now over 14 weeks, I've learned how much is enough protein, how much, you can't really overeat vegetables if you don't have sauce and stuff on them. But, I am kind of track my fiber and all that. But I'm saying that because I think that can happen with what we track in Mary Kay. And so, and I don't know, those of you guys that follow HTK, she's been talking about tracking a bunch about, that's how you move forward with anything, is knowing where you are and knowing where you want to go and how do you get there. So I think that's why it's really important to have something that you measure. And we already have a lot of tools in Mary Kay to measure, right? We can measure our weekly accomplishment sheets. We can measure how much we order in a quarter, those kinds of things. But I think sometimes it's a matter of tracking how much work am I willing to do for whatever it is I want. So am I tracking how many people I reach out to every month? Am I tracking, how many people I actually am in front of every week? Like, I don't know what it is for you. You have to decide, do I want to track it on the layering sheet? Do I want to just track how many people I reach out to? I don't know. That's what you have to answer for yourself. But, and it needs to be what you want your goal to be. Not what you think I should be doing in Mary Kay or what, it truly needs to be what you want in Mary Kay. And I'm not going to set that goal for you. I'm going to try to support you in whatever it is you set. So it's really important that you have clarity about whatever it is you want. If you're not clear on what you want and how you will get there, you're going to be more likely to get overwhelmed, frustrated, distracted, and off course. And that kind of happens to us anyway, sometimes, right? So, and when you do that, it's much more likely to quit than continue. So, regardless of whether it's Mary Kay or something else, right? So it's also extremely helpful to have a deadline. Change and challenge can sometimes be hard and scary. And when people feel this way, they're more likely to hesitate, procrastinate, and put off taking action, especially if they do not have a deadline. So that's why I have a deadline in getting my office together for sure, because that would be helpful to me not to do everything in my dining room all the time. And probably helpful to my husband and my dogs. So I don't know, my dogs like the meeting. I don't know. I've mentioned to y'all before, my very first seminar I went to was in August of 2001. Well, it was the very end of July of 2001. That was the very first Mary Kay seminar I ever went to. And, Mary Kay was not there. She was still living at that time, but she was not at seminar because she had already lost her voice. But they did play a lot of her videos, and they played the video about setting goals. And it's like so simple. Like she said, figure out what do you really want by the end of the seminar year, but that's a really long-term goal. It's hard sometimes to be really specific about what you're going to do daily, but come up with for yourself, what are you willing to be committed to by the end of next year at this time? And then if that's what your commitment is, if that's truly, clearly what you think you should be doing, what do you have to do monthly in order to do that? So I had at the time that I was going to hold 4 parties a month, obtaining at least 4 new customers on skincare, and that I was willing to talk to at least 8 people a month about the business so that I could get 2 new people per month. And then my sales goal based on that number was $1,000 at the time, which enabled me to order 600 wholesale and be a star. So that was my goal way back in 2001. So that's what I said monthly. So then I had to break it down weekly. So what do I have to do weekly to do that? So to be able to do faces, you have to have leads and you have to have bookings, because bookings are the lifeline of our business. So if you want more, then you have to schedule power hours. And it can look like whatever it needs to look like for you. It can be one day a week. It can be, I'm going to do it for 15 minutes, during my lunch hour, like whatever that looks like for you. And then daily, what are you going to do? You don't have to work Mary Kay every day. You can pick which days. So a power hour, Debbie, is basically where you sit down and you are contacting people generally for booking. Like however you're going to reach out to them to book for whatever it is you want. It could also be time that you spend doing follow-up with, okay, so say someone bought a skincare set and you need to follow up with them. It could be time you reach out. It's like all those people that you need to reach out to for booking, for follow-up to sales, for people that you need to sell to, for anyone you want to talk about the opportunity with. You could say that you could spend some time in your power hour if you need to reach out to a team member too. So it's really like initiating business, basically, is what you're doing during a power hour. I mostly use power hours for trying to do booking. And so what I've done for July, because we're at the end of June, is I've already looked at my calendar in July. And because I'm such a paper person, but you could do this electronically if you wanted, I have highlighted in my calendar, like this is very old school. I've highlighted in my calendar when I'm willing to work because I am taking off several days in the first 2 weeks. So I'm not willing to book during those times that I've chosen that I'm not going to work. And then I've highlighted when I want to work so that when I do reach out to people and I say, are days, evenings, or weekends best? And they say evenings. I already know which evenings I'm available and I can just say, how is this day or this day? And I already know that. So then you're not over, scheduling yourself. You're still getting to work when you want to work, but you can put people into those spots. If I didn't have a list of vendors right now, I have all these names that I'm working through. If I didn't have that, then my next thing would be either sitting down and like giving myself a fresh contact list. Like who has been on my mind that I haven't asked about Mary Kay? Who are maybe newer people that I know that I haven't said anything about Mary Kay? Or maybe I've reconnected with these people in the last 3 months, but I haven't tried to book them. I don't know, make yourself a new fresh contact list of people to start with. And then also I would look at your current customer list. Some of you have customer bases that are pretty good. And I would look at those and say, how long has it been since they've had a facial? Laura really works her birthday list. And that's really where I try to start. So I print the birthday list out of Mary Kay in Touch at the beginning of the month. And I reach out to all of those people to offer them an opportunity to have a refacial in their birthday month. And they get a discount for doing that. They can get a smaller discount if they just purchase, but I really try to encourage them to come and do a facial. And then if they say yes to the facial, then I say, would you like to bring a friend with you? So I'm not like making it hard for them and think they have to do a party and they have to clean their house or anything like that. I'm just like, would you like to bring a friend with you or two? And so I try to encourage that. So I'm trying to create a party, but without saying they're having a party. We're just getting around their kitchen table. They're getting a refacial and they're bringing friends. So that's where I would go with if I didn't have a list of people to start with. And then several years ago, I kind of also came up with what if I was working Mary Kay on a consistent basis. Oh gosh, sorry guys. Let me turn that phone off so that they won't bark. Sorry, this is another reason why I need to have my office not in the midst of everything else. Okay, so the other thing I came up with for myself several years ago is what do I need to do daily? So I think part of what we need to do daily, just to be better people, is mental, right? So like Tammy Craig always talked about a mental bath. Well, that would be like, find yourself a podcast or listen to books that are going to help you. Like I know Jody listens to Ed Milet some. I think that's a good, really positive podcast. Oh gosh. Sorry, guys. Hey, quiet, guys. We need to be quiet. I'm so sorry. They're not going to listen. All right, we'll see. Now my husband just came in. So, okay, here we go. So, podcasts are good. Like, I was thinking the other day, I have a hard time like trying to find time to listen to a podcast, but like if you're listening to books, you can listen in your car. I try to listen to podcasts like when I'm putting my makeup on every morning, kind of like habit stacking, because for me to like just sit down and listen to a podcast, it's hard for me to plan that in my day. But I think a lot of doing anything in life when you want to move forward, whether it's Mary Kay or something else, is having a good positive mindset and having something good positive to listen to. I think that Callie Bigham's podcast is probably really positive, and some of it's Mary Kay and some of it isn't. I mean, it's just life. It's just good life skills. So I think that's good. There's a new one that I'm interested in looking into. It's called, her name is Gretchen Rubin. And several national sales directors have mentioned her to me, and she talks about like the 4 tendencies of how people react to things and how they do things. But she has what she calls a happier podcast or something, and I kind of want to check it out and see. So I think having something that will help you mentally every day, for me, what helps me mentally, and I think for you guys too, is some kind of physical activity. So it's been really great. I'm not an outside girl. I'm really not an outside girl. However, I do think there's something about being out in the sunshine first thing in the day. It's just, I've had a really hard time forcing myself to do that. However, now that I have my dogs, they want to go for their walk every morning. And so they were really sad this morning because it was raining. But we still did it at 12:30 today because it wasn't too hot. So it's not even a really long walk, but it just gets me out the door in the sunshine for 20 minutes, first thing in the day. And then I try to work out between 3 and 5 times a week. And that helps me mentally so much. And so even though it is a physical thing, it's truly a mental thing for me. And so I think, whatever you can do, whether it's just walking or whatever you want to do. I know Dawn does more than just walking, but whatever works for you. And then I really believe if you want to stay in touch with what's happening in Mary Kay, just checking your Mary Kay in touch and going to the news, 3 times a week, just so you kind of stay up on what's happening. And then whatever you're using to track your business, you look at that daily so that you've updated it. So it's in front of you, you're looking at it, whether it's a layering sheet or whether it's any kind of sheet you're using for booking. You've got to have some way to track when you're contacting people, whether it's just a notebook and a piece of paper or whether it's, oh, thanks, Terry. I'm trying to be better. But it's funny when the way you do one thing is kind of the way you do other things. So if I can track all this stuff I'm tracking with my food, I surely can track my Mary Kay. You know what I mean? Like I'm tracking like everything I'm putting in my mouth and like using my FitnessPal and all the things. So I'm like, if I can do that, then I can do that here. So you can transfer the skills over to other things that you want to achieve. Or if you're doing great in Mary Kay, you can transfer whatever you're learning in Mary Kay or whatever skills, discipline you have into another area. Like Dawn and I can get our stuff cleaned out in our house. Like, it can be, I know Jody's wanted to paint her office too. So, we all have that on our list. That's not an IPA, income producing activity. However, there is something to be said about having a space, that's nice and comfortable and helps you want to work in that. So I think daily having some kind of mental thing, physical thing, checking your Mary Kay news, using something like I just use a 3-ring binder to put like my layering sheet and stuff in that is pink so I can find it. Cause I don't know about y'all, but if I have a piece of paper, then it's like I lose the piece of paper if it's not like connected. So, I mean, so it's just helpful. And then what do you do weekly? Well, you plan your power hours weekly. You do your weekly plan sheet. You do your weekly accomplishment sheet. What financial things do you have to do for your business? If you're running Mary Kay as a business, what financial things do you have to do? I thought you were all straightened out, Terry. I remember when you were selling all the stuff and everything, so I figured you had everything. So, like financial wise, like if you're doing a financial tracker or you're doing your 60-40 split, so you know how much you can pay yourself, or do you have to go to the bank, or do you need to transfer your Venmo money? I mean, one time a week, you need to do your money, for Mary Kay so that you know whether you're making money or not. So that's part of just being a business person. And then monthly, I'm printing off my birthday report. I'm looking at my goals. I'm looking at my month and saying, this is when I can work, so it's just a matter of kind of being disciplined with some of that stuff. And then looking at if Star Consultant is important to me, where am I on Star Consultant? Because I think sometimes we're not stars because all of a sudden we're almost to the end of the quarter and we're like, oh, we're too far away. But if we were tracking that from the beginning and going at benchmarking ourselves, if star is important. So those are just kind of things to think about. And so I'm going to give you a couple of questions here. You guys could write these down because I think some of this takes a little bit of, for you to determine exactly what you want your goal to be. I think you need to spend some time in prayer. So I'm like careful to make sure that I don't just say, well, this is what I should be doing. This is what a Mary Kay director's goal should be. This is what I should be doing. But really going to God and saying, God, what is it? What is my assignment? What is it I'm supposed to be doing that you want me to do with Mary Kay? Because it's really whatever he wants for your life. And so I feel like you need to take the time to ask him and truly find your purpose. Like, what are you no longer okay living without? Asking God to give you the direction and why you're doing this. And are you willing to grow? Are you willing to? Because sometimes some of us have been in Mary Kay for a while and we've had different goals and different purposes, but I would just encourage you to it may not be the same now that it was before. I mean, maybe your goals are less, maybe your goals are higher. I don't know, but that's kind of between you and God. And then I'm just here to support you in however I can. And then I think once you really feel strongly that you have clarity, you need to have unwavering faith and belief. So part of that is our mental mindset, but who is your circle of influence? So I'm hoping that we all together collectively as a unit are your circle of influence, that you're plugged into us, that you are reading things that are positive, listening or reading to something positive. And then there is going to be some time management involved because we're talking about discipline in some way. So, and truly that's your choice. So you're either busy designing your life or you're just busy. And that's when it made me think too of all the quadrants and the stuff that Terry's taught us before from John Acuff's book of, where am I working all the time? Am I constantly in my urgent zone, just rushing here and there? Am I just reacting to every single thing that's happening in my day? Or am I, and I'm distracted too, maybe? Or am I really working on what's important and then getting into the brilliant zone? So those are, I mean, we just have to be reminded of that because you can go through phases of your life where people are pulling you, and sometimes someone's ill in our family or, like my dad and stepmom moved here. And so that kind of changed some things for me. Oh, unwavering faith and belief, Jody. So that kind of added, so now I have all my parents in my city. So that's kind of changed some things and we've been trying to get my parents moved here since really the end of January. They officially moved here in March, but they still, speaking of cleaning out things, they still have things in their house in Colorado. I'm taking one more trip in July to get the final stuff. It is like, I didn't realize how much stuff my stepmom kept, but she's felt like she's the keeper of the history for the whole family. But she also is like keeping all this for my brother and keeping all this for my stepsister and keeping all the, and they don't even really want it. And so it's like, and her house was very organized. I didn't know that she had all that stuff, but she had a house that had closets and it was all hidden. And so I don't even think she remembered she had all that stuff. So, anyway, so all that to say that that's changed, that kind of threw something at me that I hadn't planned on that in my year. I didn't know they were moving here until January, and so sometimes that happens, and it's God first, family second, career third. And so sometimes we do need to do some stuff for family, but I didn't have to let go of my goals. I just had to adjust my time management a little bit. And then work with yourself. Where do you need to improve? What skill do you want to master? And we talked a little bit when we were talking about the vision map stuff about how if this is your worst skill down here, you're probably not going to get it way up here. But there could be a skill here that you could improve on. Or maybe there's something it's already your strength, but you just need to improve upon that a little bit in the way you do it or whatever. But work on whatever that is for you yourself and resolve to master it. Be intentional daily with whatever that is. I was bound and determined to figure out my, I was eating healthy, and I was kind of frustrated because I was also working out a whole lot. And I also did my, these are not exact, but I did those in-body scan things, at my gym. And I've been doing that. I was going to Orange Theory before, and then I went to Fit Body, and I was doing those in-body scans, and it just never moved. Like I just, I kind of stayed the same weight, kind of stayed the same. So the only thing I did different the last 14 weeks is track everything and count my macros. And did y'all know that my weight went down 10 pounds, my body mass went down, and my strength went up? It moved more in 14 weeks than it has in 5 years, just by tracking macros. And so I'm like, okay, that's very interesting. So food really makes a huge difference, and we know that you can't outwork your food and all this stuff, but, it's made me think, okay, I can do this in Mary Kay too. I can track this in Mary Kay and see my movement and see, instead of just going along and going, did I even make any progress this year? Because you really probably have made more than you think you have if you're tracking it. And then there's got to be some emotional management sometimes for us. That's just how we are as women. We just need some emotional management sometimes. And so part of that is what you're feeding your brain and what you're talking to yourself about. And sometimes, y'all, there's bigger issues there, and maybe you need to go to a counselor, and that's okay too. So, sometimes we need that for emotional management. So, and taking your thoughts captive, which that's a biblical thing. Don't let yourself just say horrible things about yourself. I mean, I always have said, the way you talk to yourself, would you talk to someone else like that? Like, if you wouldn't talk to someone else like that, don't talk to yourself like that. And so take any of those negative thoughts captive and turn that around. And I know it's sometimes harder than just doing that, but that's kind of a process of, I think, being in the Word and prayer and filling yourself with positive things. So none of this is new. We all know all of this, but I think it's sometimes helpful to evaluate when we're at the end of the year and we're about to start a new year. So it's kind of cool in Mary Kay that we've got two first of the years in a way. So a couple of questions that you might want to write down to consider and ponder when you spend time with God and with yourself, trying to figure out for sure, clearly what you want. Give yourself credit for what you've done well this seminar year. What have you done well? And what would you like to continue working on in that same area? So if there's some area that you are I've done pretty well with this. Well, is there, what could you continue to do in that same area? I mean, if you're already great with your customers, could you do something else great with them to keep those customers long term? And then what goal are you willing to work for that determines where you end at the end of next year at this time? So it's sometimes hard because it's a very long-term goal, for a year, But if you were just really praying about it and feeling like, okay, God is telling me this, what are you willing to work for? And you know there's going to be automatic pushback of some sort. And so you have to be prepared for that. So what do you anticipate? What pushback do you anticipate happening? And then what are you going to do to push through that? Because usually we get pushback in similar areas that we've had pushback in before. You know, could be a discipline thing. It could be a mindset thing. It could be we get a no from somebody that really bothered us. And so then we really pull back because we're like, well, man, this isn't really working for me. So, and that just happens. I mean, I get pushback from customers. I get pushback from consultants. And so it does make me think, okay, am I leading well? Like, you know, so I have to relook at it and go, okay, what could I do better? I did good at this. Could I improve on this in some way? So I think that that's important to ask yourself what you will do when you get pushback, because it's going to happen sometime this year. And then what will you put in place early July, which that starts next week, right? So what will you put in place to get a kickstart to whatever it is you're wanting to do? And think back to what Mary Kay said about monthly, weekly, and daily. What are you willing to do? And sometimes some of us are really busy. And so then we throw all these goals like, oh, we want to do all this stuff. So you are going to have to decide, is there something in your life that isn't as important as this? And maybe it isn't. I don't know. That's between you and God. But sometimes you can't do everything. So you may have to delegate more things, or you may have to say, you know, I'm not going to do this because this Mary Kay thing is more important to me than this. Because if I do this, then this give, you know, I have clear goals here, and this is what I get for this. This is my why for doing this. So, you know, my son's going to school at Rochester, which I don't know if I told you, Terry, that he's going to be 20 miles away from Mary. Dawn pointed that out to me. I didn't realize how close Mary lived to where Kyle's moving. So I've reached out to Mary because I'm like, in case I need a mom, you know, if he needs help, which I'm sure he won't take it, but you know,
that's awesome. And
I know
the best person for that job.
well, I know. I thought I think awesome. It is, but I didn't realize that. Dawn told me. Yeah. I was like,
I didn't even think about it when you were sending him up to Rochester. That's so close to.
Yes. Yeah. So anyway, so nice. But that is a goal for me because it's always been my why to help my family. I mean, Mary Kay. I've done Mary Kay for the 26 years I've done Mary Kay because I want to help my family. And so that's what motivates me. And it's going to cost him to be there. And so some of it's on him, but there's some things that I'm willing to help him with, but Mary Kay's going to do it because it helps my husband in our retirement account if we don't take from there, you know. So if Mary Kay can create that in a way so that he has, you know, he has to have a budget, and I'm willing to help him monthly. Mary Kay's going to do that, but that motivates me because that will help him, that will help my husband. And so that's my why. And so that's why I'm willing to be disciplined every week and to do meetings every week and to book every week and to, you know, do whatever it needs, because that's really my why. So that's my personal goal. So tying that why to whatever your personal goal is helpful. So I know this was like a repeat, but I feel like we can always hear it for any part of our lives. So what other thoughts do you guys have on all this? I'd love to hear from you because I talked a lot. Anybody have any thoughts? Are you going to take time to do it?
Yeah, fantastic. And yeah, it's good timing for me, whether it's seminar year end or not. It's great timing, and it's something, yes, it's time for me to get my act together on multiple things. And I can actually relate to the time management, especially, you know, and setting time frames for when you're going to do certain things. Part of my recovery from my sciatica from a personal note was I finally had to get to a point where I set a timer where I only sat for 45 minutes. I would stand for 45 minutes and I could lay for 45 minutes, but the timers would go off, and that seemed to contribute a whole lot to me taking charge of things and making sure that, you know, I'm taking my medications at a particular time and whatnot. So just something I need to get back to as well is like setting those boundaries of this is how much time I'm going to spend doing this or that, and not just getting sucked up into whatever I'm working on at the moment.
Yeah.
Great training.
I still struggle with drinking water. And so I'm setting timers for myself to benchmark my water intake. You wouldn't think that I'd forget to drink water, but man, it's like, so yeah. So that's my new thing this week is I'm setting benchmarks 4 times a day to see where I am to remind myself to drink water. So anyway, okay. Anybody else? We're so glad you're with us tonight, Terry. We've missed you.
Thank you. I missed you guys.
Anybody else? Okay, well, I really encourage you to spend some time with God, get clarity on what it is you want in your life, for sure, but also with Mary Kay. And then it's 6:50, so we can go. I was gonna do a product knowledge on Fanorama. I could do that really quick. Does anyone use this? You used to, right, Jody? You do?
Done.
You still do. Okay. So I still use this one a lot too. I do like the new Great Heights a whole lot, but I hadn't really looked at the value of this mascara in a while. And so I printed off the sheet, and this also has the Panthenol Pro Complex in it. And, you know, I forgot that. And I forget things fast. But, you know, the Great Heights has Panthenol in it too. And I thought, well, you know, my eyes are kind of sensitive, and both of these work really well with my eyes. So it may have something to do with that. This also has vitamin E in it. But the biggest difference, I think, for this is the brush. Which I was really, when I was reading the directions, I thought, I don't know if that I'm using this quite right, actually. But so, you know, you just need to read about the products more, you know? So it creates a fully fanned out look for panoramic lashes. So featuring fan favorite Lash Love formula with an all new inventive brush. So I think that the formula is very similar to Lash Love. This all-new innovative brush works from corner to corner and root to tip to bring even your littlest lashes out of hiding. So rows of super soft silicone brushes stabilized by an inner core power the brush's 3 unique application zones, allowing you to coat, comb, and fan out. So use the hourglass-shaped bristles to coat the lashes with the perfect amount. So I guess like this, and then finish with this, and then you staggered rows on curved side aid in combing and brushing out and pushing the mascara. So I think too why I do like these is you know, I do like lash intensity. I sometimes wear it, but I just have to be more careful because it's such a big brush, you know? And so I'm like, you know, I don't want to get it all over me. And I think with this brush, it's easier to apply in a sense. So if I have a customer that doesn't have very long lashes, or they are an older person and they have a harder time seeing, unless they're just like this glam lash girl, I tend to go with these mascaras with the smaller wands because it's just easier for them to apply mascara. And this also lets you go like this and get the last little bit with that tip. So anyway, it's been a while. I mean, this came out, I think, in 2020 or 2021, something like that. And I don't have as many people on it as like Ultimate, but I think that's because Ultimate was the one we used to have the little samples of, which we don't anymore. So, and I don't think Mary Kay sells these types of brushes for demo. So now we have to demo, you know, with full size mascara wands, but mascaras, but they're selling wands like for the Ultimate, and I think there's regular Lash Love wands, and then there's the new the Great Heights, I believe. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so I thought that they said that the Fanorama was the same as Lash Love, same formula and everything, but just a different brush. So you're saying that the Fanorama has the panthenol complex in it though, right?
That's what it says, and I didn't go look and see if Lash Love says that. I should go do that because it says features fan favorite Lash Love formula with exclusive Mary Kay Panthenol Pro Complex and vitamin E.
So they added it.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's why I picked this because I was like, I don't think we've talked about this, and I use it, but I don't usually demo this one when I'm facialing someone just because I don't have a demo brush for it. But it's a fabulous mascara. So, but I've really loved the new Great Heights, and that's the one I've been selling the most of. That's the one I've been demoing, but this is a great mascara too. So I usually tell people, you know, we have really whatever you need in terms of brushes. Like we have a wide range of mascara brushes. So whatever your, you know, whatever you prefer is what I kind of gear them to. And then if they want waterproof, I sell them waterproof. But anyway, I just thought I would throw that out there. It's been a while since I read. Yes, Debbie.
I have a question. I like the new one, the Great Heights, but unless I really want to look nice, I mean, if it's just for every day, I can wear that. It doesn't give me enough lashes. My lashes are kind of small anymore. And so I tried the, what was the biggest one? The big
Lash Intensity.
Yes. And I did not have problems with my eyelashes until I put the Lash Intensity on it.
Oh,
And-
really?
Yeah, and I didn't realize that the panthenol was what the Great Heights was in it. And I noticed that it's only my left eye that does it, but if I do it too fast, my left eye will start burning and watering, and it just won't quit until I've got it all off, you know, everywhere. And so then I used to use the oh shoot, what did you just say? Ultimate, yeah, and that's what I sold all the time, and that's just what I kept, and then I kept one of everything else. But what's the difference with the Ultimate? Or would you like
Ultimate is a volumizing mascara, and I don't think it has like the panthenol in it, like the Great Heights and the Lash Love. And it's, you know, so it's a volumizing mascara. So I tell people if they want volume to go with that one. And I have most people on that one, but I think it's because that's what I demoed mostly. And then if I don't have that many people on Lash Intensity, it's kind of like if they, like my daughter loves Lash Intensity, but you know, if they just really like length and volume, that's like the Mama Jamma mascara for that. But really I've gotten a lot of people on the new Great Heights, and since I'm kind of have sensitive eyes and some people think they have sensitive eyes, it seems like Great Heights does well with that. Usually the Lash Love does fine, and this one does too, but I didn't remember this had the Panthenol Pro Complex. And so I think the Panthenol is kind of a conditioner, so it's, you know, and it's that vitamin B, I think, right? So it's kind of better for your eyes. And
and they never came back with anything. They had the
thank you for being on, Terry. Yeah. Oh, Ultimate has Panthenol too. Jody's looking it up. So yeah, so I don't know, but my eyes are a little more sensitive to the Ultimate than they are these other two, but it could be just that there's more mascara on the wand and it's a volumizing mascara.
That could be too, because I put it on kind of thick and fast sometimes if I'm, you know, in a hurry. So, okay.
Yeah. So if it's one of the last ingredients, I guess it's not a big, I mean, they're really putting it on like on the first page with these other two. So maybe there's more in it.
I really missed the conditioner that they were putting on first. And I saw the, one of the directors that told them where to get a conditioner from Sephora or someplace because we didn't have it anymore. And she said that she always uses it. She always used it. But since we don't have it anymore, she told us what she started using because she still wants to have that conditioner on there.
Like a lash primer.
Yeah, I mean primer. Yeah, and I still have a couple of the primers left because I was going to sell them to the people that I had sold them to last time. And I still use it, and I just find it a lot better. But if we're not going to have it anymore, like I said,
and I'm not expecting it to be back. Based on, they're just
Yeah,
streamlining
yeah.
this, they're just streamlining the product line a little bit. And so based on what Dr. Lucy said, I'm not expecting it to be back. So I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you all being on tonight. I hope this was helpful. We are going to have a meeting next week. I should be getting everything from the company by 8 a.m. on the 1st. So I
Yay.
plan on giving you all the details next Tuesday. We're not going to have a guest event next Tuesday, but I am going to give you all the details. And my hope is I'm trying to get clarity on what to kind of promote for the new year. I do think what I'm leaning towards more in the next year is more monthly promotions and not such long, 6 months of consistency before you're promoted. I think I'm going to have more monthly type things, is what I'm leaning towards. But I want to see what the company kind of comes out with. I have no idea if there's going to be anything way changed or new or whatever. So I will find out. And then we'll have a meeting next Tuesday and we'll talk about it. So
Okay.
anyway,
Thank you.
I appreciate you all being on this evening.
Thank
Okay,
you.
Lash Intensity has a pro vitamin B5. So it's almost like they all have some vitamin B. It's interesting.
Oh, vitamin B.
Good to know. We got some good mascara training tonight.
Did you say it rained a lot today? Or
Here?
what? Yeah. When you said when you took
Oh,
the
it
dog
was
for a walk?
raining this morning. We got rain last night and this morning. Not like a ton, but yeah, it's kind of rainy this whole week, kind of off and on.
They
And
kept predicting it to be rain
Mhm.
for 5 days, and then we might have it for 2, and then there wasn't hardly anything else.
Yeah.
But now it's just 90 degrees of heat.
Yeah, well, I'd
And
heard there was
sun.
like a heat wave going up that way.
Yeah, there sure is.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, you guys have a great evening, and I will see you next Tuesday.
Okay, thank
All right,
you.
thank
Bye,
you.
Jody.